The coronavirus reopening process continues today as some adjust to the guidelines in place. Some others are hoping for a less restrictive approach for all. WIMT's Will Puckett explains.
As cities across Kentucky are in the middle of the reopening process, some feel like the one-size-fits-all approach is too narrow. Starting in a New York Times op-ed piece last week by Somerset Mayor Alan Keck, the idea of some leniency depending on cases and the impact in cities and counties is gaining steam. Brandon Shepard is the co-owner of Shep's Place and is also a Corbin City councilman. He believes that allowing some cities to speed up their reopening process to allow for spikes and rolling closures would help southern and eastern Kentucky towns better than following guidelines mostly intended for larger, heavier impacted cities like Louisville and Lexington.
If we're able to safely reopen and we don't have a spike in cases or a spike in deaths, then I do think that we should be treated with more flexibility than, say, some of these bigger regions and bigger cities that have more caseloads. Like Jefferson County has way more cases than what we have in the Tri-County area.
Shepard knows that public health is the #1 priority. He just wants to be a part of the conversation as how this restarting process could better fit southern and eastern Kentucky towns. In Corbin, Will Puckett, WIMT Mountain News.
Shepard adds that he is happy with how the city of Corbin has responded to the change in operations. The Kentucky River District Health Department saw a spike in cases during the weekend. 21 new positive cases were announced between Saturday and Sunday. 13 of those cases are in Perry County and 8 in Letcher County. Trinity Holiness Tabernacle Church in Perry County is linked to several of these new cases. Kentucky River District Public Health Director Scott Lockard says this is not singling out any specific place. However, precautions need to be taken during any mass gathering.
And as we ramp our churches back up, just be smart, wear masks, wash your hands frequently, try to practice social distancing. And if you can, if your church broadcasts via Facebook Live, on radio or TV, that's still the best way to participate.
The church will not have in-person services for the next few weeks. Lockard says that the pandemic is far from over and people cannot get complacent. He encourages people to continue social distancing, wash your hands, and wear a mask if possible. People in the LGBTQ community no longer need to worry about job discrimination. The Supreme Court made that landmark ruling today. In a 6-3 vote, the High Court ruled the Civil Rights Act does cover gay and transgender workers. The court's action is expected to have a major impact for an estimated 8.1 million American workers because most states do not protect LGBTQ people from workplace discrimination. The ruling is considered a defeat for the Trump administration. The White House argued the Civil Rights Act did not extend to claims of gender identity and sexual orientation. Protests continue in Atlanta following the deadly police shooting of a man Friday night. The prosecutor handling the case is considering criminal charges against the officer. His widow tells CBS News it was murder. The shooting comes amid nationwide outcries for police reform following the killing of George Floyd in police custody 3 weeks ago. CBS's Tom Hansen reports from New York.
Protesters marched to Georgia's state capitol Monday following the fatal police shooting of a black man in Atlanta.
We call on the police unions to stop preventing justice for these families.
Body cam footage shows 2 officers trying to arrest 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks Friday night after he failed a field sobriety test.
Put your hands behind your back for me.
A struggle ensued. Brooks wrestled away one of the officer's tasers and ran. Officer Garrett Rolfe chased him. Brooks fired the taser. The officer fired his handgun, killing Brooks. At a news conference, his widow, surrounded by the couple's 4 children, asked to keep the protests peaceful.
I can never get my husband back. I can never get my best friend. I can never tell my daughter, oh, he's coming to take you skating or swimming lessons.
People ask, how could this have ended? Why did he resist? Well, it could have ended there. Well, it also could have ended here. I can walk. My sister's house is right here.
Rolfe has been fired, and Devin Brosnan, the officer who initially responded, has been placed on administrative duty. The incident sparked protests. Some people set fire to the Wendy's where it happened. The shooting comes as nationwide protests against police aggression and racial inequality show no signs of letting up 3 weeks after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis.
Money for schools, not police.
From Minnesota to New York, protesters took to the streets over the weekend. And in Seattle, people continue to pack a police-free zone, a roughly 6-block-wide area surrounding the city's abandoned East Precinct police station. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
Prosecutors in Georgia say they will decide by midweek whether to criminally charge either police officer. Atlanta's police chief has resigned. A Tulsa father of 2 young children who were found dead inside a hot truck Saturday is facing second-degree murder charges. Dustin Lee Dennis is being held on a $1 million bond after his 2 young children died Saturday afternoon. Tulsa police officials say Dennis admitted to leaving 3-year-old Ryan and 4-year-old Tegan in his hot truck. The high outside was 95 degrees.
After about an hour, I think, on a 90-degree day, it can get up to 119 degrees inside.
Investigators say Tegan and Ryan were stuck inside the truck for 5 hours. Are you having a hard time adulting? Well, the University of Kentucky now offers a class for that. Adulting 101 is offered online this summer. The class is geared towards teenagers who are ready to leave home for the real world. Students will learn how to cook, nutrition, how to manage finances, online safety, and roommate etiquette. The course begins June 16th and lasts 8 weeks. Straight ahead, as families are staying home during the pandemic, it means more opportunities for online predators. Up next, we'll have some tips on how to protect your children.
And the cooler trend continues as we head into your Tuesday. Have a look at that forecast coming up.